Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex or Nuzz here, and today's video is going to be another episode of our Poor versus Rich series, which is the series where we ask the question, do you really need an expensive gear setup to PVM on Runescape 3? And we basically go and we try out some of RuneScape's hardest bosses with a budget setup and an expensive setup, and then we compare our results, talk about our experience, and show a bunch of cool graphics and stats. So this is like episode 5 now of this series, and this has always been one of my most viewed videos, so make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to always get these episodes straight to your homepage. Now in today's video we have a very interesting boss. We're going to be looking at the newest boss added to RuneScape, the Glacor, which came out around 2 weeks ago, and we will be doing hard mode with a budget setup, and we'll be streaking and seeing how it goes. So let's get into the setups now. Alright, so for the high level setup, it's basically my main ranged gear setup, my normal setup that I PVM with and have been pretty successful with thus far. So we've got full Serenic that's fully perked out with the best in slot perks, Biting 4, etc., all the good stuff. We've got dual wield ascensions that are fully perked out as well. I've got the Essence of Finality amulet with a dark bow spec stored in it. I've got fleeting boots, Cinderbane gloves since the Glacor is poisonable. We have the Reaver's Ring since it works very well here. We have the new Book of Wen, which I recently made a video on, and in my inventory I have a Saren Godbow, of course, for the special attack, and Shadow Glaives for planted feet switch, food, potions, and all the essentials. And then we will of course be using Greater Ricochet ability, which is like 1.7 bill, so it's extremely expensive. And we also have the tier 99 range prayer, which is like 750 mil, so in total our high level setup comes out to almost 5 billion GP if you include all the items and also the abilities like Greater Ricochet and the perks and everything like that. So now we're going to look at our budget setup. So for our budget setup, we have the Anima Core of Zamorak armor, because you guys told me in the last video this was a cheaper option to Pernix, so I decided to test it out here. Of course, it doesn't have the HP bonus that Pernix has, but it does have the same ranged power bonus. I also bought a Morgan's Coif, which is like 400k, and it's tier 78, which is only 2 tiers lower than Pernix, but way cheaper, so that was a good option. And we have a Chaotic Crossbow as my main hand, and then an offhand Shadow Glaive, so I can use the Criminal Bolts as they are extremely good. I decided to splurge a tiny bit with the boots and spend almost 1/3 of our budget on fleeting boots, just because at the time I thought they would be good to, be able to move, and I was deciding between the fleeting boots and the Amulet of Souls. In hindsight, the Amulet of Souls might have been better, but for the Glacor, you're moving around a ton, so I thought having the boots for rapid fire while moving could be pretty useful, so that's why I decided to go with those. And we have the Blood Amulet of Fury, Ascension hand grips, and the Range Kiln Cape, and then the Ring of Vigor as our ring. As for the inventory, it's mostly the same as the high level setup, but of course no Saren Godbow, and we use some cheaper food and stuff this time. And I have Ruby Criminal Bolts and then a switch into Emerald Criminal Bolts since they're also pretty decent here. So alright, let's go and get into our kills now and see how we did. So first up, we're going to be doing the rich setup or the high level setup, and I've done a ton of the Glacor now, so this was really a breeze. I was getting around 1 minute and 30 second to 2 minute kills, starting from 0% in rage and streaking up, and that's what we decided to do for this video, was start from 0%, go for an hour and see what we could do. So I think almost all my kills were below 3 minutes. So even when I got up a bit higher in rage, they were pretty quick. And like I said, I decided to streak with each setup for an hour, and we ended up having no trouble getting 22 kills in the hour on Reckless Aura, which was just super easy and super smooth. Saren Godbow just melts the boss, and having Greater Ricochet Limitless, it's just super strong. And then if I ever had any excess adrenaline, I could use a Debo, and I really am in such a rhythm with this boss right now. When it came to the budget setup, things were a bit slower. That's not to say that I almost died, because I didn't really do too bad in that sense, but the damage myself just wasn't really there. Sometimes I think I just take for granted the gear I have, and I'm so used to my current DPS rotation. But boy, not having the Essence of Finality to fall back on seriously had me going like, where are my abilities? What do I do? Usually Rapid Fire and Snapshot are down, so I'll have Greater Ricochet every like 5 seconds. I'll have Saren Godbow every 30 seconds, and then I'll also have a Debo whenever I need to fill in the void. But without any of these options, I found myself using so many basics. So much so that I basically ran out of thresholds so much that I had to start popping some bombardments. Yeah. Now, that's not to say the kills went bad, because they didn't. Slow, yes, a bit compared to my high level setup, that's for sure, but bad, no. I ended up easily getting the kills and not using much food, and I was on a Ripper Demon as well. Now in the hour of streaking, we used the same aura, everything, and we ended up killing, I believe, 13 Arch Glacor, because streaks, you have to add 1 to your streaks, because that's just how the interface is. But for all things considered, a new boss on hard mode, this wasn't too bad at all. So now that we've finished our kills, we are going to look at a death cost comparison and a few other statistics. So this is something I do just to show how much you're going to lose if you die using an expensive gear setup versus a budget gear setup. Now, I don't even think huge death cost should really even be a thing, but that's a conversation for a different day. So looking at the death cost for a high level setup, it's 3.38 million GP if we die, and then for our budget setup, it's around 827k. So it's around a 4 times different in death costs. Now you would probably want to use the Ring of Death if you're using the high level setup. However, we are using the Reaver's Ring because it's just so good. So we will sadly just have to accept the 3 mil death costs when it comes to using our expensive setup. So now we're going to go to the breakdown of the profit estimate and stuff like that for each setup. Now this is really tough to do and kind of not possible to do for the Arch Glacor at the moment, but I am going to show you the loot that we did get so far. So from 1 hour of streaking from 0% rage for each, if we take a look, we ended up with 22 kills and 28 mil from the high level hour, and then for the budget hour, we ended up at 13 kills and 15.3 mil. However, we did get a lucky blunt rune salvage drop, which skews it a little, so I would say you're more likely to have around 12 mil, 11 to 12 mil at 13 kills, but it's all RNG. So like I said, the Arch Glacor is very hard to calculate for loot at the moment, as we don't know any of the rare drop rates. We don't know how much streak affects drops, we don't know how much in rage effects drops or anything like that, and some people kill it different ways. Some people streak, some people don't. So I seem to basically be getting double the kills per hour using the high level setup. So if we estimate, just throwing out a random number, I don't know, 50 mil per hour in the long run, including uniques with the high level setup, then remember, this is a huge estimate. I really don't have anything to base this number off other than my own killing, which is only around 400 kill count. Then you could estimate around like 25 mil per hour with the budget setup in the long run, including cores, etc. But the budget setup was not that bad, honestly. You're looking, like I said, to make about double the kills with the high level setup than the budget, and that seemed to scale from Enrage. So like, even if I was doing 500% with the budget, I think I would still be getting around double the kill time compared to the high level setup. So I made 15 mil, or maybe a little lower if you adjust for some of the items dropping in price, in 1 hour with the budget setup, which actually is pretty good. I was able to do it on a Ripper Demon and pretty much soul split as I needed. So what's the conclusion here? Can you do the Arch Glacor hard mode with a budget setup? So my conclusion is I think you can, but it does have its drawbacks and limitations. So streaking from 0 to 500% is a very profitable at the Arch Glacor. It has a great chance to get the Core of Lang to make the tier 95 and also Nyla's, and all things considered, it's something that a lot of players are doing right now to make some really good money. So with a budget setup, streaking from 0 to 500 is definitely possible. You will get hit much harder at higher enraged, like when you get to 4 or 500, and since you have less damage you can deal, the fight is going to take longer. But with practice, you should be able to get kills. They will just take a good bit longer. However, you do not need a 5 billion GP setup to do and streak the Arc Glacier for good money. But now I'm going to give you some recommendations on what I think you could do to the budget setup that I use to make it even better. So do I recommend that you camp the Arch Glacier with the setup I used? Probably not. Here are the changes that I would make for the setup to make it more viable. So the number one change I would make is at least add an Amulet of Souls. This is only around 50 mil. You can drop the Fleeting Boots if you need, and this will give you more protection when prayer flicking and also allow you to heal more HP when soul splitting, and this is vital for those higher enraged kills, and it just makes things all around more smooth. I would also recommend adding Cinderbane gloves. They're 80 mil, which is a little pricey, but they're nothing on the price of like Greater Ricochet or anything like that. And it's really going to help your damage problem and really increase your damage if you're using the Cinderbane gloves, weapon poison, and also like Quorum incense sticks. You're really going to be piling on that poison damage, which can make up for your lack of abilities. But if you can, the Essence of Finality with a Debo spec is absolutely great. It's pretty expensive at around 300 mil, but compared to the big upgrades like Greater Ricochet, Tier 99 Prayers, Saren Godbow, it's just a really good upgrade. Also, better perks like Enhanced Devoted also really help at the Arch Glacier, and the Arch Glacier is not as hard as people think, and even with a setup cheaper than mine, I implore you to go try to learn it and maybe streak even 0 to 200% enrage. The boss won't hit you very hard at all, and all these enrages, you can absolutely get some good loot, and I've seen a ton of low enrage Core of Lang drops at like below 300% enrage, and I've seen the Scripture of When drop at like 40% enrage. So I've seen a ton of low enrage drops, so this really is a good boss to get into no matter what your skill level. And don't just sit on normal mode. 0%, 20%, 50%, 100% hard mode is really not that hard, and I implore you to just at least go try it because you can get some super good drops. So that's gonna do it for this episode of Poor versus Rich, guys. Make sure to let me know in the comments, what boss do you want to see next? Do you want to see a specific boss that we haven't done? Are you looking forward to when the next Elder God Wars boss comes out? Do you want to see that? But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, leave a like, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. And of course, as always, I really appreciate every single one of you.